Good day, sir. Good day, everyone. By the way, my name is Milton Bibakasnot, Big Scream 2A. Today, I'm going to make a video discussion about the dactyloscopy examination between the Latin print and the fingerprint that have given to me. So first, we need to start from introduction. Each of us is more likely to have much in common in terms of character, attitude, or even looks. But in terms of personal identification, there are a lot of ways or techniques to specify or differentiate one person from another. We are specifically different in examining the uniqueness of a person than others. The most common and applicable technique to identify a person's identity for legal purposes is a fingerprint. A fingerprint is a physical biometrics aspect that is used to identify a person's identity due to its uniqueness, where no two persons can share the same fingerprint. A fingerprint is made by a series of ridges and furrows on the surface of a finger, where it consists of a lot of ridge formation. Considering the fact that there are three particular groups of patterns: the lobes, the whorls, and the arches, fingerprint identifications become more important and as a way of identifying a person, especially in the field of forensic science, which has been taken more seriously in legal, social, and even in a scientific meanings in a modern society. Next is discussion. From the given subject which I am obliged to examine in order to determine if it is identical or not, both the Latin print and the standard, which has a code of C2A13-2023. So in that instant, I conducted a dactyloscopy examination, and apparently upon examining a lot of standards, I found out that there is one standard that looks like my Latin print, which has a pattern of a whorl, or specifically a plain whorl with symbols of W, a tracing of outer or O. Plain whorl is a type of whorl pattern that has one complete circuit that touches on the imaginary line between two deltas and has a core, and it is more similar to the Latin print I have. In my examination, I have discovered 12 similar ridges formations when comparing the Latin print and the standard. So, there is a big possibility that my Latin and the standard could be identical. There is a case that testified that in Philippines, there should be at least a minimum of 8 ridges formations found in the same place between the Latin print and the standard during the examination, and that is the Bilang-Awa versus Amador case, which is the first case in the Philippines where a fingerprint was used as identification to convict a person in terms of the ridges of the finger, and it was successfully defended by the authority to convict the accused. So from my examination, I have located 12 ridge formations which exceeded the maximum standard number from the case I've mentioned earlier. So next is my finding. So based on the discussion, I found out that fingerprinting is more complicated than other techniques to identify a person. But it is a very relevant way to ensure that the specific person you are examining is the one you are trying to point out, because fingerprinting is a unique process where no one can copy the identity of a person aside from DNA, and also because of the principles of individuality. Fingerprints are more important in this modern society. It is the best way to easily point out the exact suspect, missing person, or victim. And through the dactyloscopy examination, I also found out that the 12 ridge formations are namely the delta, core, 3 bifurcating ridges, ending ridge, island, dot, ridge bridge, ridge hook, and short ridge, which are in the same place and location from the Latin to the standard print. The Latin print assigned to me is the right thumb finger based on the standard print, and it is pointing out the real owner of my subject. And lastly, my conclusion. Therefore, I conclude that Latin or question print I have is identical to the standard print based on the examination I have done, where There are 12 ridge formations discovered that are the same as what standard prints have. Both have the same ridge name and location. So, it clarified that or testified that the Latin print I have is the right thumb and that it is identical to the standard print, which is owned by Miss Daguan Jana R. Thank you, and that's all.